Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this special live from the Westgate Hotel episode of the Grappling Rewind Podcast. We are here live at West Coast Trials. Not going to lie, it's going to be a shorter episode. We are about an hour away from needing to leave for the airport to catch our flights back, but wanted to do a big one to recap kind of the whole experience of the West Coast Trials. We're probably just going to only talk about the finals right now because we are very limited for time, but we want to talk about it as always on the show. I'm your host, Maine, my co-host,
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
Pretty good. How are you?
I am super stressed. We had a host of technical issues. We are under a time crunch.
Yeah.
Like anyone knows me knows that I don't do travel well in the first place. So
this added chaos.
This added chaos and the equipment here, and we got the camera on a bag, and it's a whole ordeal.
Yeah,
but
we have a whole interesting setup going on right now.
We do next to the convention center here in the Westgate Hotel.
Well, yeah.
So we're limited in time, so I really want to get right into it. Let's talk about the finals. Keith Krikorian finally getting it done in the under 66 kilogram division. His fourth West Coast Trials in a row where he has made the finals. He finally gets the victory and takes the gold in the West Coast Trials over a really, really tough, let's find the finals here.
Cisneros.
Yeah, Cisneros.
And he gets the sub at 242.
Like really quickly too.
Yeah.
And we actually had an interview. I got a chance to interview Krikorian after the match.
Yeah, I was standing there and watching.
It was really cool to talk to him about like the changes that he made. And he really talked about in this one. The interview is up probably tomorrow on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page. But it was really cool to talk to him about the changes that he had made over the past couple of years, initially going to ADCC, doing the trials in 2018, getting second place, 2019, second place, 2021 at the East Coast Trials, getting second place, and then going into this trials, the specific changes that he made of like, look, I went to game plan, like I'm not looking to just hunt subs, like went in with a concrete game plan, especially in a guy like Cisneros.
Yeah. And Cisneros, I mean, he was giving it his all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But Krikorian got a really quick tap. Like, I didn't even really know that Cisneros was in a footlock until
Krikorian just kind of goes back, like locks it, like beautiful technique on the heel hook. Like he doesn't grip. He's very controlled with his entry back into it. And then you can tell that he has such good leverage on that because Cisneros doesn't really like aim to fight that long in the heel hook.
No, not at all.
He locks it up and he knows Krikorian's going to go, and he has to tap to avoid injury. And we saw in the earlier match in that division, we saw in the semifinals match,
Gianni Grippo get his foot ripped off, or his hamstring
in a Sulawesi stretch. And apparently, I missed the first match, but Josh Cisneros in an earlier match in that division also hit another Sulawesi stretch.
I saw that one. It was beautiful. And I had to watch it like 5 times to figure out where dude's leg was.
It's just not,
because I was like, where did that leg go? Because it's almost like a spladle, but not really.
It's similar.
It's the same kind of groin stretch kind of thing.
Right. The something I did see in the semifinals that he hit on Gianni Grippo started off like he took Grippo's back and then he reached under because Grippo was trying to shuck him off the top.
Yeah.
He reaches under and he grabs that leg and what kind of looks like a knee bar, but it's really a groin and hamstring stretch. Yeah. Years ago, Aljamain Sterling and Zabit Magomedsharipov hit it in the same night in the UFC card, so it's cool to see another like twice in an event. It's a very uncommon finish, but Keith Krikorian moves on after that, impressive performance over Josh Cisneros because Josh Cisneros, I didn't recognize him with the short hair here.
Oh, really?
Like, he cut it all off, and like that looks completely different looking dude. He had a great weekend as well. I really wish we had a little more time to kind of run through all these divisions. We watched probably 9 to 10 hours a day of grappling.
Yeah, and I admit my whole first day was kind of like
I
competed early in the day, and then we had a teammate compete on the whole ladder section.
Rob's on Rob
competed. He made it to
coach as well.
Yeah, he made it to the third round, and
so
I was kind of following him around.
And we were kind of helping to support him as well in kind of conjunction with doing interviews and talking to people, everything else that we were doing here today. But the first round, that's why we usually do it on location first day. End of the first day, we were all just exhausted. We got some food, and then we all just kind of like crashed out. So we're doing a full event recap this time here.
And so we'll move on to 77.
Yeah, the 66 was great. Again, there were so many great matches. That entire round of 16 bracket, like to see Damian Anderson look as good as he looked in this bracket, like I think is really a forecast of things to come. So much to talk about in the 66 bracket, but we are limited on time. Let's talk about 77. In the finals match, we had William Tackett defeating Andy Varela 4-2.
And I do have to say, Varela looked really good.
This is the best Varela has looked. Varela is always a guy.
When Varela beat Barch in the semifinals, I was like, holy hell, Varela can actually,
Varela can do it all.
He can do it all.
Wrestle and his counter
wrestling. I knew he had good wrestling. He had good stand-up.
It's funny, we talked about it, a couple guys in the stands, we were all talking, like, and even in the earlier day, like, just how big Varela is for 77. Because I think
he's a very big 77.
He did open weight for Sugg. He was in that, like, open weight tournament, like Bame. And, like,
well, and you look at him
guys.
Beside Tackett, and he towered over Tackett.
And Tackett's not small for 77. Tackett's, like, pretty decently sized for 77, and Varela was a bit bigger than him. He was like bigger than Barch, and Barch is a bigger 77 guy. I am extremely impressed with Andy Varela. Like
Andy Varela that's who took out Majid too.
Yeah, and Majid has looked
in the round of
phenomenal
16. Yeah,
overall.
So
The past couple trials, he's placed at the first South American trials where he's only taken out by Michael Galvao.
Yeah,
and then
the second he came across the Dreamart guy in semis and lost.
Yeah, but again, to take out Majid and then moving into the finals, beating Barch again by a close victory
decision,
over Barch. I'm looking here. I think it was a decision.
It was a decision after overtime.
Yeah, after the overtime, after one overtime there, and moving into the finals. William Tackett was on. We saw really a lot more of his wrestling showcased in the Chris Wojak in the semifinals match there, where he took that 4-0.
Yeah.
But William Tackett in this match, Andy Varela looked to collar tie and slow Tackett down. Tackett, for the majority of the match, was playing off his back, and you could tell very quickly that Tackett's a very competent wrestler. But there was something about Varela's game where I want to force this guy to have to pass into my guard. I don't want to get into a firefight on the feet with this guy because he's very strong. He's very quick, much like Tackett. All of the attributes for the guys at 77 that do the best, Varela has all of those. And Tackett went, I have to force him to be into a more technical passing game where he's going to have to overcommit. I can wrestle up off of that. I can go for his legs. And that's sort of the game that he looked to implement versus Varela. Because Varela's also a guy that has that gas tank to keep going, and that's not really a problem for Tackett, but there were a lot. We saw Tackett and Varela throughout the entire weekend give a lot of guys problems with that late stage, they're not guys that are going to go away. No, and their technique isn't really going to falter, isn't going to get tired.
Yeah, they don't get lazy. They don't. Yeah, they don't start making stupid, and they don't get angry. They don't you don't see them turn that switch where they're pissed off and they start
he's collar tying too hard. He's overextending. That's something that we saw both guys.
A lot of control with both of them.
Varela face.
Was that
and
one of the
Tackett
matches
face.
when they slapped each other and got yelled at?
No.
Okay. There was multiple matches over the weekend where they were people were literally heavy collar tying, and then it just became a freaking slap.
Became a chop across the neck. I don't think.
I don't remember which matches.
Full disclosure, we have had a hell of a weekend, and I'm very, very tired. And again, I wish we had a little more time to recap all of this.
We'll recap.
It might have been
this week.
It might have been a Varela, because I thought Varela had done that in an earlier match. It might have been in the Barch match.
Oh, okay.
But I could be getting that wrong as well. But damn, William Tackett finally takes it. 4-2 victory over Varela. I think he hits a sweep.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
I believe
he gets
so.
Varela to his back, and then he might have hit a pass as well. Again, this is all a little bit.
I don't know if that numbers counts because it was 4-2. Yeah, it's 4-2. So it had to been because that pass is 3, correct?
It's been a very long weekend, Miranda.
It's been a long weekend, so we're just going to go. Okay, so we're just going to go.
Impressed with Tackett. Again, he had a great showing at East Coast Trials. He carried that through to West Coast Trials, and again, he made some changes in his game, I think, with his game planning and his conditioning, and just we continue to see improvements from Tackett, and it's awesome to see, again, another guy who has had, been so close to the finals at trials, be able to go to the West Coast Trials, which was, again, this is the biggest trials that's ever taken place.
It was very large. It was 1,050, I think, was the
1,050 was the final number.
The final number.
The biggest trials ever to have him be able to go through in the biggest division ever. This was the biggest division that's ever happened at trials. It was 250. I think 254 or something like that. 255 of 256 possible. Just really amazing. Trying to mess with my mic here because I think the audio is coming through. Really amazing performance for him to get that done.
And we'll move on to men's -99.
88, -88.
Oh, I I jumped ahead.
You did. Jacob Rodriguez versus Hunter Colvin. I also got an interview with Rodriguez after this, promoted to purple on the podium by, was it his brother?
Yeah.
By his brother, which is, I think it's funny that Nicky Rod's also a purple belt, quote, big ass quotes there. Gave him his belt. Rodriguez, go back and watch this match. First of all, you should go back. If you listen to the show, you should absolutely go back and listen or watch all of the finals matches, because they were it was an incredible evening and culmination of a tournament. This is one in particular you should just put on and watch, because the story that it tells throughout the match is phenomenal. You can watch Jacob Rodriguez have to come from behind. And Hunter Colvin's a guy we've been covering for duration of the show.
He spammed everything you could ever possibly imagine. Got under the legs. It was like
Colvin's dangerous everywhere, and
it was guard to a different kind of guard to a different kind of guard. I go to this guard, and it was he kept him on. It was almost like he kept him on the defensive for quite a while.
And he starts scoring towards the end of the match. We have Colvin up, and he takes Rodriguez down. Rodriguez is unable to get his hips off the mat and shoulders off the mat. Colvin locks him down. And you see Jacob Rodriguez, and he had thrown it up a couple of times throughout the day. And even in this match versus Hunter Colvin, you see him like go, I want this. And he locks the buggy choke up. And he had locked it up earlier, and he had done something interesting. He had hooked under Colvin's leg there, not like fully gone to like the traditional buggy choke where you're just attached to their chest.
Well, because of the issue earlier on day one.
Let's talk about that. We had day one, we had someone in a buggy choke, and they got slammed and knocked out from it. And there wasn't a neck injury. There's an injury, but the guy is recovering fine. Yeah. We've looked it up.
We know.
But the buggy choke was on display this weekend, and that was like, that really made everyone think like, ooh, I got to be really careful with slams in the buggy choke, because again, the Rotolos have really popularized
and it was right before Rob was about to compete, and they were bringing the stretcher in through Rob's mat, and I was like, Rob, if you're in the middle of a match and that thing comes through, you're just gonna have to take it. Like you're just gonna have to go through it. So I was like, that's a mess.
To see in the finals, Jacob Rodriguez lock that buggy choke up, and then he like Hunter Colvin kind of goes to lift a little bit, but he's unable to fully lift. And there was some nice gamesmanship there. You saw Jacob Rodriguez, the first buggy choke he threw up.
The first one, he picked him all the way up.
He picked him all the way up, but he still had that kind of hook there. And but you saw him be very cautious about how tightly he locked that up in the first one to not get basically like, look, if he starts to lift me and slam, I'm going to let go.
Well, if he lets go and then you slam him, then it's illegal anyway.
But he also, I think he was also kind of riding that gray area for the initial setup of the buggy choke, because he didn't commit to it super hard, where it's kind of that gray area of like, well, I don't know if this guy is going to be allowed to lift and slam me here because of how tight the buggy choke is. And Gordon, even at the rules meeting, brought up like the legality of the buggy choke as far as like how tight they have to be, and like it's something, it's kind of a recurring theme overall.
This was also a division with a Mike Crisp that was a newcomer, at least in my mind. And I actually met him this morning at Starbucks.
Nice.
Getting coffee.
He's a guy that we never come across. Part of why
he's
I love
from Canada.
trials.
He's from Vancouver.
It's part of why I love trials, though, because you come across guys that like, he is a guy that's on the level.
And his match against David Garmo, and he basically breaks.
I think he broke. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to talk to David.
He did something to Garmo's
leg. But like, you can see the leg like flex like it's broken. And Garmo is very unhappy with it. And he commented the foot symbol and then an under construction symbol in the Instagram post of that between Flo and Mike Crisp. But dude, Crisp guy I'd never seen before, and to have him come and perform as well, like throughout the entire weekend, he's got a bunch of big colorful tattoos, and he competes shirtless. So he's like, you see him on the mat, and you're like,
and he has shorty shorts on. So
who's
you're definitely
that guy?
Yeah,
and he just performed amazingly this, and I'm very curious to see what opportunities he's going to get after this, because he's a guy that I want to see compete in rule sets like this in ADCC.
And he does, he did a very good job, and he puts on a good show, which is always a good thing.
He's active, a good showman. He's aggressive, he's active throughout the entirety of the match. So let's go back to the finals match, the buggy choke that gets locked up. You see Rodriguez in the final buggy choke go, I really want it. And he pulls with everything he has.
And when you interviewed him, he actually said that wasn't his game plan.
That wasn't the game plan.
He was like, it was just there.
But it was like he was down on points. He was losing. Colvin gets that last takedown. He secures it, and you see Rodriguez like go for it, and he locks it up. And there's 35 seconds I think left in the match, or something like that.
It's right at the very end.
It's getting to it's like this will be the last exchange that happens in this match. Either Jacob Rodriguez can finish him, or Hunter Colvin will be the trials champion, and Jacob Rodriguez is able to finish him in, on a crazy choke, the buggy choke, and win the trials under 88. He gets a slot with his brother into the ADCC World Championships, the second Rodriguez in a row to win West Coast Trials as a blue belt. As a blue belt. Again,
but they also have a very strong wrestling background, so it's not. They're not like.
I mean, I think Rob was talking. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Rodriguez's wrestling is even better on paper than. Rodriguez. Jay Rodriguez's wrestling is even better than his brother's, like from an accolade standpoint at the level he competed at. So, again, I can't wait to see more from Jacob Rodriguez with the improvements we saw him make from East Coast Trials into West Coast Trials. And he's a B team with his brother, like moving down there with Craig Jones, and Nicky Ryan, Nick Rodriguez, and Damian Anderson, all the guys in that room. And he would even complimented those guys in the interview. The interview will be up probably tomorrow again when this podcast comes out on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page if you want to find it. Really cool interview with him talking about the changes he's made and the guys in the room. So I can't wait to see more from Jacob Rodriguez. Anything else on that division?
Nope. We'll move into men's under 99.
Moving into men's under 99. We have a final, kind of a quicker final.
It was a very quick
Paul Ardilla defeating Mario Gonzalez via inside heel hook.
Yeah.
Ardilla's a full-time lawyer in Atlanta.
Really?
Yes. Based on the Instagram story that I read this morning of
dude, that's awesome.
He's a full
what kind of attorney? Do you know?
Miranda, that is. I didn't expect a follow-up question.
I know.
That is as far as I got.
I work in law.
You do work in law.
Behind the curtain, I work in law. So
I work in law too. Actually, that's a weird. Not like in kind of the same capacity, but very similar.
Yeah, you do regulation.
I do other stuff.
You do. Yeah.
I do regulatory work.
I do not.
And it's just So props to again. So Paul Ardilla. This was, I forget how long was this match.
It was 43 seconds long.
Yeah, I mean, I was just a blur kind of in the weekend of like matches.
It was like Ardilla or Gonzalez got down and Ardilla just kind of sat with the leg.
He was like, "Hey man."
He was like, "Hey, I'm taking this foot."
It's been a long weekend. We're gonna get out of here quick. And again, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about that. Maybe in his earlier match, maybe we can talk about Ardilla's match versus Elder Cruz. It was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like he just went.
It's a sub after 2:19. It says.
Very quickly for Elder Cruz, and Elder Cruz was just a monster throughout the tournament, both at East Coast Trials and West Coast Trials. And Mario Gonzalez had a really close semifinals match with Devontae Johnson.
Yeah.
And that was one that you could sort of
go either direction.
You could go either way. I think definitely to give the nod to Mario was the correct decision there. He was more imposing. He was more active. Devontae.
He was
shooting.
He was taking a substantial step towards a takedown. If that makes sense.
And he was working the snap downs on Devontae.
I use my legal language. That's how you do conspiracies.
He was. So again,
he took the substantial step that led him towards the takedown.
He did. He took the substantial step. Yeah. So again, I think reasonably gets the decision on that one. Devontae Johnson didn't actually show up for.
Or not conspiracies, attempts. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Devontae Johnson didn't show up for the third match versus Elder Cruz. I think there was a couple of them, people that actually forfeited out of the third place match. Some guys were just not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Devontae didn't show back up.
That was my food time and my nap time.
Oh, the third place match was Mike Crisp versus David Garmo in the men's under 88 kilogram division, and that was the really really tight straight ankle lock. And let's see what else. Damian Anderson didn't compete. Oh, sorry, Damian Anderson competed in the third place match, but he did not face Grippo because Grippo was injured because of the semifinal match versus Cisneros. Maybe that's what it was. But I think there was 2 or 3 of them. I thought there were 3 of them.
Maybe plus 99.
Yeah, and plus 99 division as well. The third place match, Raymond Grandy took it over Damon Ramos, who forfeited as well.
Okay.
So that is in under 99 kilogram division.
Now
let's talk about the over.
Well, which was really fun because I was considered over 60.
You are.
So when they set us for weighing in, they put the ultra heavies with the women's over 60, and we were in the same line.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
That was my first experience in a heavyweight line.
I didn't actually go. I didn't go to the weigh-ins that morning because we had got in. I haven't even talked about the flight delays we had. So Rachel and I had a very, very tough travel situation getting here.
I didn't have any better. I was a little.
Your flight got canceled. Yeah. Let's talk about that in the outro. Let's talk about the travel thing in the outro. Again, this is a super disjointed show. Like 20 minutes in already.
Yeah.
Finals, we have Kyle Baim defeating Daniel. Can you give me his last name? Manisau via penalty.
Yeah.
Baim went over. I mean, Baim's first semifinals match was crazy. It was a really quick heel hook finish over Raymond Grandy. outside heel hook. It's really
23 seconds.
If you've seen Bame's previous like really quick sub matches, that's what he does. Pulls down immediately into the heel hook, and then you see Bame's just insane power.
And real quick, if you do go and watch the finals, they set it more up like Fight to Win. And they had the big mat, and they had the lights, and they had music and everything. Yeah. Which to some people did say it confused them a little bit to come out to that because they weren't really expecting that.
Yeah, the level of kind of promenade of that. Yeah. I really enjoyed it as a fan, like at the event. I really enjoyed like the additional production because it made you feel like it gave weight to what you're watching.
Yeah,
so we saw for both semifinals matches, they ran then they gave a break and they ran the third place matches.
I was a level of exhausted at that point. I just wanted to go to bed. So
it was a rough couple of days.
But it was nice, yeah.
But Kyle Bame finishes a really quick heel hook, and then in the other semifinals match, Daniel also finishes a really quick heel hook on Damon Ramos.
55 seconds.
Yeah. So again, we went through that was the first semifinals to go, and so we were all like, okay, we're run. We have like 30 something matches left.
The Manasau guy, I hadn't really seen much of him at all.
No.
He looks like a kind of a mini Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Their facial expression, like their everything. He's just a smaller version of him.
Oh, isn't Daniel Mansuri is he's a new wave guy.
Yeah,
and he is
Gordon
6'7".
was coaching.
Gordon was coaching.
Gordon was coaching.
I want to talk about this match because I'm kind of curious as to what happened in this match. So what happened? It was a very, very even match where really no one could score, no one could get anything going. Bame couldn't really get deep under the heel hooks. Daniel really couldn't either. They couldn't pass each other. In the last 30 seconds, Daniel Kyle kind of pushes and Daniel kind of sits, and I think this was a tactical error.
Yeah, this is one of these things because we watched it a couple other times in finals matches where people kind of sat, like it was kind of like they tripped over their own feet and sat, but it was more like they wanted to sit to begin with and they wanted a reason to be able to do it. So then was give them the little.
But we saw it maybe in the. It was William Tackett match in the finals. So ADCC, if you pull guard in the finals at any point in time,
and you have 3 seconds to get
it is a negative point. But you have 3 seconds. So Tackett, we saw at one point pulled, and they went, "Oh no!" and they had to wrestle up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, in the last 30 seconds is when he pulled.
Yeah,
and it was a pull.
It was a pull.
There
and
was
so
no
in ADCC,
no action.
If there's an even score and you pull. You give up a negative point to your opponent.
Yeah, I think it was just a tactical error.
And so they were even going into the overtime essentially.
Or he thought he was able to do something
in the last 30 seconds. Yeah. But I personally think it was a tactical error that in the moment he got pushed by a big dude and he went, okay, I'm going to go down here because I don't want to wrestle him right now.
Yeah.
And
he didn't really get pushed. He kind of just sat.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did.
And so when he sits, he gives a negative point. And then after the match, it seemed like... Because I think Gordon immediately started yelling at him too.
Yeah.
But they were tired. They were the end... I think not the overtime. They were end of regulation.
He lost in regular...
Yeah, I think it was... They were 8 minutes in. They were 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
30 seconds. And then he pulls. And it was like a... Yeah, it was just an error on his part.
Yeah, and so he gives he gives himself the negative point.
Yeah.
And then when regulation ends... Because there is a negative point on the board, and Bame is up on points.
And in the last 30 seconds, you have tendency to make a lot of quick decisions.
Yeah.
Especially when 0-0. Like, I kind of have always kind of cranked myself up at that point.
Right.
Which then can also get you stuck.
Yeah.
Can just get you caught because you start,
guys
having to move at that point.
Guys fall back to a game that they think will work or keep them safe or keep additional points from being scored. And because ADCC is such a unique rule set, you don't tend to think in the high-stress moments of a final after 2 days of competing to okay, I need to keep this guy from scoring. Let me sit because my guard is very good and prevent him from passing. Yeah. But when he sits, he gives it up. And I think it was an error, and it is just almost the only error that we saw like this in the finals.
Yeah.
Most of the guys that were making those sort of errors had made it during day one or beginning of day two. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised, and I think that was something that we will see Daniel improve with his game planning and come back. But it is cool to see Kyle Bame in the plus 99 kilogram division. We might see now the rematch with Gordon Ryan from this. Again, they fought a couple of years ago, kind of when Gordon didn't have stomach issues for a week, and it was very dominant. I'm curious to see what changes Bame has made into his game, and then if he is seated against Ryan again. ADCC doesn't tend to do rematches, so they may meet. If they do meet, they will meet late into the bracket.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I'm guessing that Bame will be on the side of Penna, because Penna will also be located on that side of the bracket. They probably won't bracket Gordon and Penna on the same side, given that they have also faced each other, because ADCC tends to save rematches for semifinals or finals if they can avoid it, if they can basically with how they can bracket it.
Yeah.
So
sense.
Interesting match. Bame wins that via penalty point, in the last 30 seconds. Anything else on that division?
Nope. And we are moving into female under 60.
Women's under 60 kilogram division. Brand St. Marie.
And she wins over Jasmine Rocha. She won both East Coast and West Coast.
Right? The only woman. Was this, so Seth mentioned on the mic.
Yeah, it's the only woman to ever won both.
Was this the biggest division, or was the under 60 kilogram division was the biggest women's division that Trials has ever had?
Wouldn't surprise me.
And I think most of the divisions were the biggest that has ever had. Again, 1,000 plus. I think 1,050 was the final number that I saw for this. And that's crazy. That's, most divisions for Trials historically have never been half of that.
It was a 128 bracket.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of buys. So
in the first round, there were a lot of buys.
Say probably 80 maybe.
Yeah, I don't have a final number. I should, but again, I don't have a final number here. Brand St. Marie looked phenomenal. She looked phenomenal at East Coast Trials. She's looked phenomenal at West Coast Trials.
And she controlled Jasmine
for like the entirety of the match.
At one point, she had like a guillotine, like a mounted guillotine.
Very
that I was like, dude, she's just gonna go out. Like we're just gonna watch her go out.
I was on the side of the mat where I could see Jasmine Rocha's face.
Yeah.
And I looked at, again, I really like guillotines. That is kind of my bread and butter for my technique and kind of my technical, my game. And I know just by looking at it, like how close and how deep that is. And Jasmine made a face that 99% of grapplers make when they're about to tap.
Yeah.
And she made that face, and you saw her just go, like, eyes closed, decide, like, no, I'm not gonna tap this. Like, this is atrocious and terrible, but I'm gonna like fight to the end. And that's
gonna let my neck get ripped off.
A lot of
because I'm young and I can deal with that.
How old is Jasmine? Is she?
I think
she's 17 or 19?
I think she's under 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither way, I know Achilles is
16.
I think one is 2 years younger than her.
She's like 16 or 17. I think she's young.
Okay. Regardless, she is in that guillotine deep, and she just goes, no, I'm not gonna tap, and then is able to fight the hands and get out. Brand St. Marie was in mount for 4 or 5 minutes of this match, working the head and arm triangle, the head and arm triangle. She slides off to the side at one point, keeps her positioning. She prevents Rocha from getting her legs inside. Just beautiful display of control, and with enough movement on top to prevent from getting the negatives. She is never just static there holding position and waiting for, to get the call. She's actively working for the head position, actively working on top to, get the head and arm, or get the mounted guillotine, or just work for the triangle. She was constantly active, but very, very positionally aware. And you could tell that she didn't want to, when she was in dominant position on Rocha after the pass, she didn't want to move. And just phenomenal work being able to railroad something of that level into your game and keep them there, because again, both these women went through absolutely a crazy bracket. Brand St. Marie armbar Rafael Canuto in the quarterfinals, and then Jasmine Rocha defeats Alex Enriquez via decision. That starts quarterfinals. Semifinals, we have Brand St. Marie defeating Natalie Ribeiro via decision. We have Jasmine Rocha defeating Amy Bruce via decision in a very, very close match as well. Overall, just an outstanding technical display from the women, and I'm super happy to see an East Coast Trials winner for women also winning West Coast Trials. Because if you don't know, ADCC, the women's divisions are more in line with the registrations they get for Trials for women, so the divisions are half-sized. So they are only 8, so only the second Trials of a region, and this is the second Trials for North America, has a woman qualifier.
Yeah.
You can still win it in the first qualifier, but it functions doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
If Tonda Blast was nice enough to provide travel and transport and pay that for the female winners for the East Coast Trials, but you are the champion for that year for the territory, but there's no qualifier. So for someone to win both, I just like to see that, because it means that the first one kind of wasn't for nothing, and she gets the invite deservedly to the ADCC World Championships. But beautiful technique. And like to keep Rocha, who has such a good scramble game and a good wrestling game, just flattened to the mat as long as she did. We didn't see anyone else in the entire tournament that was even able to get close to that for Jasmine.
No, not really.
You know, and Jasmine's so tough to be able to fight off all the head crush and the position. So, like, I was very, very impressed with both women here in the finals. It was an awesome finals. Anything else on the under 60 kilogram division?
No, not at all. We can move on
Moving into the plus 60 kilogram division, we have Amy Campo defeating Paige Ivette via knee bar. I got a chance to interview Amy Campo. Again, interview should be up in a couple of days on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page. Great interview, fun to talk to her. It was cool. Again, we've not had a chance to cover Campo a ton in the past, so it was awesome to get a chance to watch her compete, watch her win, and then actually get a chance to talk to her about her match.
Campo subbed Grandati.
Grandati.
Maggie.
With an Americana in the quarters.
Yeah, and it was a tight one. Definitely was one Grandati was holding the arm.
Oh, it's funny. So actually, I missed that match. I saw
her walking around with her arm all splintered
but I saw the part of the match. I did not see the finish, and I remember seeing Grandati fighting the Americana out for like probably 45 seconds at least, and then something happened in front of me for the match because I was in front of Matt 3, I think, at that time. That happened in front of me, so I started watching that match, and I looked over and I saw the result.
Well, yeah, and there was a lot going on, so
it was again very, very busy weekend. There will be a lot of matches I need to go and rewatch, but basically off of a takedown, Amy Campo ends in essentially the step over knee bar position, and Paige does a really great job of kind of looping over the head to hold her in to prevent her from being able to fall back for that knee bar kind of at the 45-degree angle. And in talking to Amy, I was trying to figure out like Paige quickly lets go of the head position to stop, and Amy's able to get the knee bar, and I was trying to figure out why. And in the interview, I talked to, and Campo talked about, I had essentially a mirror lock underneath on the low side arm that was under our bodies, and she was cranking up on that mirror lock, which is why Campo had to let go of the head to free the arm to defend the mirror lock, allowing Campo to get the knee bar. And like, I don't know if that was if you could see that on the cameras, but I was cross-side to the mat, so I missed that completely. And again, how far was this into the division,
just 3 minutes.
Yeah, so again, it was 3 minutes exactly?
Yes, that's what it says.
Oh, so it was just...
Or 3:06, I'm sorry.
So just into the points period after that takedown happened, and again, super impressive finish. Like, we had to get a knee bar win, or really any submission win in the finals. It's always super impressive. It kind of speaks to the ADCC rule set where, because there's so much of an emphasis on continuing to advance your position and continuing to be active, like the turtle is such a big feature, people tend to be more aggressive, and so they tend to lock up submissions as they are falling, because that is something that ADCC rewards you for, is to continue to have something at all times, because it stops your points, or it stops your opponents from being able to basically get their points. And so I don't have a ton more on this match overall. No. It was really just a very, very good knee bar.
And Elizabeth Clay was she went against Campo. Campo beat Clay by score in
13-0.
Yeah.
And Campo just racked up points in the semifinals on Clay. And again, more just like flattened her out and just kept Clay from
unable to really latch anything on.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why it got up to 13 was, I think towards the end, Clay just kind of was trying to get positioning rather than really. It was more like, I'm going to sub you. I need to sub you now.
But that's what I like about ADCC is the scores are typically very, very low. It is extremely rare. There are a couple that were like 10-0, but like most of the time these matches are won by 1 to 3 points maybe, and like scoring 5 or 6 points in ADCC is pretty rare. So to have Campo be able to score 13-0 because she maintained that positional dominance throughout the match was really great to see. But I think, again, a lot of that, like exactly like you said, it comes from Clay going, I have to get on your legs, I have to go for this submission.
Yeah, so I just got to go.
And it's awesome that Campo could both defend that and then continue to maintain her positional dominance so well, because I think that style of play will shine at the World Championships when you have the rest of the top women in the world at plus 60. Like, you have to be super positionally minded. Again, look at Gabby Garcia, the most dominant champion in ADCC history. she does that by positional dominance and, scoring those points, getting those decisions, and, keeping you from being able to put up your offense. And I think that Clay, with the game that she plays, Campo, with the game that she played, especially in the clay match, shows us that, you can continue to shut down that offense while maintaining your position and scoring points, and that wins you championships in the ADCC. In the Krikorian interview, Keith talks about that as well.
Yeah.
He goes, I have to be more positionally minded. I have to look to kind of grind guys and score.
Yeah, he was talking about being less submission oriented and more control oriented.
Yeah, and that was a big kind of change that he made, even from the East Coast trials moving into the West Coast trials. It's guys are really, really good.
Yeah.
I can't sub everyone. I cannot rely on my ability to submit everyone because that's just not going to happen all the time.
Which is true.
And so, and I think the additional emphasis and focus on control has then allowed him, with that kind of being a secondary thing, to focus on the control, then get the submissions when they are available to him, and not the other way around, where it's I go for the sub and then take the positions as available. I get my points and then take what I'm able to off of that. So
at this point, we're done with the divisions, and I have to make an airplane trip very soon.
So awesome weekend of matches. Hopefully we do not have the same 5-hour delay that we had. On the way over here. We sat on the plane for 2.5 extra hours, and in the terminal for 2 hours. We got here at, I think, 4:30 in the morning. We were supposed to get here at, I think, midnight or something like that.
Yeah.
So that made for our first day to be pretty tough. And then you guys and Rob was cutting weight, and it was your flight got canceled a whole day.
Yeah, my flight got canceled. I had to reschedule the day before, so I wound up coming in Thursday instead of Friday.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of from there. But I have a 6 p.m. flight today.
Yeah.
So I need to start moving.
You're going right now. So that does it for us. Again, we'll probably talk more in depth on the next episode about this, but we wanted to get it out today and get a chance to talk about the experience, because it was such a cool event. If you're ever thinking about coming out to a trials or to the World Championships, do it. If you like jiu-jitsu and listen to the show, I think you will not regret it. As always, in the show, I'm your host, Maine, to the co-host,
Miranda.
We got the grappling around. See on the mat. Whatever that is, stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.